Call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone out to the May the 19th, 2025 meeting of the Castle County Board of Commissioners. If you would join me in a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. Pledge allegiance. All right, we now come to public comments. This first section, just so we're all on the same page, is just for general public comments. If you want to comment on the proposed budget, that'll be coming up in a few minutes. So, Mr. County Manager.
So on the back of your agendas, you'll see speakers. That gives the highlights of our public comment policy. So please sign in. If you're walking in and need to sign in, I've got the sheet here for you. And when you go to the podium, please state your name and whether or not you're a Caswell resident. Speak directly to the full board and be courteous in your language and presentation. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. Commissioners and administration will not respond during your comments or during this meeting. And comments are limited to 3 minutes. Thank you. So the first person that we have sure I've got the right one. Yep. So the first one is Mr. Lance Stokes. And if you would please come to the podium, please. You're going to, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. And the second person that we have is, I think that's Terry Parker. Is that budget also? Okay. All right. Courtney Smith. Avery Artist. Okay. And H. Broadnax. Is that budget also? Okay. And N. Harnett, I think. Okay, what about Laura Picardo?
Good evening, County Commissioners, County Manager, and fellow residents. My name is Laura Pichardo from Pelham, North Carolina. I am an accounts payable analyst by trade and the Caswell County Republican Party treasurer. The reason that I'm here is to support fellow candidates who decide to run for office. In the agenda for today, there is a moment to talk about the CoSquare events policy and fees. Regardless of political party affiliation, I support when a fellow resident runs for office. I have run for office various times. I ran for office for the North Carolina State Senate, and I know how much work it is finding a location to host an event, to talk to my fellow residents about why I'm running for office. So in the policy and events, there is a bullet point that says political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates or parties. I advise for that portion to be striked from the policy because anybody who wants to run for office locally needs a space to host an event just to say, hey, I'm running for office and these are my reasons why. And that's going to deter local residents from running for office. Next, for the Caswell County Tourist Development Authority Agreement. I support having the financial director to be a part of the board. I have applied for the grant to help fellow businesses to apply for money and ask, hey, this is why I'm applying for the budget. I work a full-time job. I received a rejection email at 8 p.m. And then I'm like scrambling for time. I have to rewrite the grants. I have to rewrite my proposal, my budget, my survey, why I'm asking for money for this local business. And it's just a lot of work. If the financial director is on the board, it really helps streamline operations and say, this is what we need in the application from the beginning. These are all the requirements I want to see before we start reviewing the grants in general. So if you will please support my two policies of recommendation, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
And the next person is Angela Turner. Budget. Mariah Smith. Okay. I think that's all we have until we get to the hearing.
Okay, recognitions, Mr. Holt? Mr. Totten?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to commend Renee Pascal for the time she put into presenting this budget tonight, the proposed budget. It will give us more time to analyze, scrutinize, and look at the details, and hopefully we can reduce it.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to wish the National Emergency Medical Services Week of May 18th through the 24th. And I just want to say that I thank them for their services, their professionalism and dedication to the community.
Commissioner Rose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would also like to add on to Commissioner Smith's sentiments. Thank Ms. Pascal for all her hard work. We've got a lot of things to work through this budget, but I do appreciate you getting it to us where it gives us the time to do it. Thank you.
All right. Item 6, consent agenda. These would be one vote on tonight's agenda, plus the open session minutes from April the 21st and May the 5th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Ingram. In favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, Board of Equalization and Review, Mr. Bernard. Can I get a motion from the board to recess as Board of Commissioners and convene as the Board of Equalization and Review?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Smith. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Mr. Bernard.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I have no appeals at this time.
All right. Now can I have a motion to adjourn as the Board of Equalization and Review and reconvene as the Board of Commissioners?
Make the motion.
Motion from Commissioner Ingram,
Second.
second Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. All right. Item 8, public hearing on the 25-26 budget. Do I have a motion? We go into a public hearing?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Rose,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We now set it as public hearing. Mr. Whitaker, if you will go through the list for us, please. Public
Okay,
comment.
so our budget has been following the adopted and then later revised budget calendar. Ms. Pascal had presented that budget at our meeting on the 5th, and she will do so again. This is largely the same with some updates. And as part of the process afterward, we'll hear from all these fine folks here with the hearing. And before you get started, just for the public's benefit, this draft budget is on the website, which is a lot more comprehensive than just what you're going to see this evening. And that can be found by going to the county's homepage, then just go to the Caswell County News, and then that link is listed there as the FY 25-26 budget item.
All right. So I will say I've done probably 30 county budgets in my career, and I've never worked so hard to be criticized so much. That is the nature of doing the budget. You're putting together a very big jigsaw puzzle, and it's very difficult to make all the pieces fit. I want to reiterate my support of county employees that I spoke about during the last meeting. I'll just say that I have worked in 5 different counties, and our county employees compare favorably with all of them. I would put them up there with all of them. They are always looking for ways to save money, to do things with less, and I commend them for that. I believe, next slide, please, Kara. I believe that Caswell County is a good deal for taxpayers. We shared this graphic at the budget and planning retreat, and what it shows is that overall our spending is 43% less than counties who have similar property tax bases, which means they don't have a large property tax base. I regret that the budget doesn't do more for county employees. It does absorb the health insurance increases. It provides a 1.5% cost of living increase, and it funds a pay and classification study so we can make sure that our salaries are competitive with neighboring counties. Next slide, please. Overall, general fund revenues declined $643,000. And I'll go through a little more of those specifics, why the revenues went down. Overall, our expenses only increased about $13,000, which is just unbelievable considering inflation and the increased costs that we're dealing with. To fund this difference, when you lose $643,000 in revenue, you either have to slash your budget or you have to raise revenue. And so I'm proposing to raise property taxes 3 cents to cover this deficit. This graph This graph shows a comparison of Caswell County, our tax rate with comparable counties our size. With counties that have similar property tax bases. And it shows that our property tax rate is about 5 cents below the average. And so even with a 3 cent property tax increase, we will still be below the average. Next slide, please. So these are some of the revenue losses that we have experienced. A $300,000 loss in revenue to house state and federal inmates. And that is because our local inmate population is increasing and displacing the beds that we have to house federal and state inmates. A $724,000 reduction in fund balance. Mostly that comes in the health department. They have been appropriating large amounts of fund balance in the last few years, and that's just not sustainable moving forward. $125,000 reduction in investment earnings. The 3 cent tax rate increase generates an additional $640,000 in revenue, and we're also expected to increase sales tax revenue by $300,000. But still, the net is that reduction that I shared earlier. Next slide. Proposing to change how the solid waste fee is levied. Currently, residents who live outside of the municipalities in the county and who do not have a private hauler pay $125 a year solid waste fee. We are proposing, or I am proposing, that town residents and businesses and residents who have a private hauler and live outside the town also pay a fee they would get a reduction for proving that they have a disposal method. That there are costs that are covered by solid waste that benefit everyone in the county. Those include our cost to monitor the closed landfill. That's a responsibility of all county residents. Code enforcement, recycling. No other private or town provider provides recycling, only the county. And our collection centers are open to all. We don't screen on the basis of whether people are town residents or whether they're businesses. Next slide, please. Overall, these are some of the significant increases that we saw. Salaries increased 788,000, almost more than half of that, or $406,000, was by eliminating the vacancy allowance. So last year in the 25 budget, in order to balance the budget, we reduced salaries from what it cost by a certain amount in some of the larger departments, thinking that we would have vacancies in those large departments and have salary savings. Unfortunately, in public safety, the opposite is true. Whenever you have vacancies, you have to backfill those vacancies. You gotta send people out on the ambulance. You gotta send people out on sheriff's patrol. You have to staff the jail. So in that case, it can cost more because you're paying overtime to employees to fill in those gaps. About 200,000 of this amount is from the 1.5% COLA. We are proposing several reclassifications, and all of this will be gone through in great detail during the work session on next Wednesday. Several positions, and there were several positions we found that were not budgeted in fiscal year 25 that were approved positions. Our benefits increased $264,000. 140 of that is from the health insurance increase, and 45,000 is from the COLA. Debt service increased 331,000 to fund ambulance and ambulance remount and a upgrade of the UHF paging system, and to lease replacement vehicles. And because we've been on the LGC or local government commissions UAL list for the last few years, we've not been able to borrow money to lease vehicles, and there's quite a backlog. The sheriff's office requested 26, and the budget recommends 15 of those, and that's because they were on enterprises list to replace. And then transfers to other funds increased 191,000, and that is because the transfer to the school capital reserve was not budgeted in 25. And I do want to assure all the school folks in the room that we will make the transfer, even though it was not in the original budget, because we have to. The budget, next slide, please. The budget realigns resources in the general fund. That's the reason why we were able to substantially increase some departments. And you see the departments on the left that were substantially increased, several of those being public safety departments. And then you see reductions, the departments that were reduced on the right. And because of the reductions, we were able to fund the other departments more. I will say that the budget was gone through in line item detail, and departments were required to justify what they requested based on their 24 and 25 spending. So all of that was dug into, and I feel pretty comfortable that the numbers reflect what the actual spending will be. Next slide, please. So I added this since the presentation of the budget on May 5th, we have received the Caswell County Schools budget request. I want to say a little bit about that. I met with the former superintendent several times, and we agreed that the schools would present their budget on during the third week in April. And that was so we can meet the commissioner's budget calendar deadline of presenting the budget on May 5th. You see, if we get a budget on May 2nd, It's not really possible to factor that budget into May 5th, but we didn't actually receive the budget until May 9th. So that is the reason why we didn't factor the school's request into our budget. So the recommended budget recommends the same funding as fiscal year 25. I do want to speak to the request. So a total of almost $2.2 million increase in county appropriation is being requested. And that's out of a $36 million general fund. That is a very large increase. The other point I'd like to make is that the reason why the county appropriation increased so much is because the schools are not appropriating any fund balance. So the first question I would ask in looking at increased school funding is, what is your fund balance? And how much of this expense can the school board bear? Next slide, please. The budget does address commissioner goals related to economic development. It funds $50,000 for a contract economic developer, which saves money overall by not filling that position. Does that make sense? And then $21,850 to do due diligence on the Pelham site so that we can possibly get grants from Golden Leaf to do site development. And then later on, perhaps spec buildings. And then finally, $48,000 for a land use development plan. I will say that Caswell County has the lowest percentage of commercial and industrial tax base in the state of North Carolina. And so when the board discussed that at their retreat in January, they wanted to increase business development so that that proportion is not just borne by residents, but also by business and industry. All right, next slide. And this is the last slide. I'm happy to answer questions, or if you want additional information, happy to hear that too. I do want to thank you, the board, for the opportunity to work here in Caswell. I appreciate your strong support. And I give special thanks to Jonna Sharp, Melissa Miller, and county department heads for their expertise and attention to needed changes and improvements. We have an outstanding team and we are definitely moving forward, and this budget helps us do that. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Pascal? Thank you, Renee.
So continuing on with the public comments portion of the hearing, I'm going to start with those of you specifically on the sheet, and then we'll come back. So I haven't forgot you if you were on the more general public comments. So with that said, the first person is Mr. Lance Stokes.
Good evening. My name is Lance Stokes. I am a taxpayer of Caswell County as well as Guilford County. I have residence in Caswell County at 1833 Hard Rock School Road, and I am proud to serve as the interim superintendent of Caswell County Schools. As a product of this great school system, it gives me privilege and honor to come before this esteemed board today to discuss the state of Caswell County schools. First and foremost, the future of Caswell County is at stake. Our needs are not extravagant. They are just simply essential. While our full capital outlay totals are modest, over 12 million, today we're just requesting that you re-examine to look at our 1.1 million increase. This is not a wish list. These are critical upgrades and repairs to ensure our students and staff are learning and working in safe, functional environments. In addition to the capital needs, I'm also requesting that you support in helping us take care of the people who take care of our most prized possession, our children. Our educators right now, too many of our teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, front office people are working 2 and 3 jobs to provide for their families while taking care of the children of Caswell County. This is not sustainable. And It simply should not be considered acceptable. We're asking for your partnership in providing a local salary supplement, a step that neighboring counties have already taken so that they can attract and retain high-quality educators our students deserve. When teachers are financially stable, they are better able to focus on what matters most, educating, mentoring, and inspiring our students. By supporting both the capital investment and the competitive supplement for our staff, you are not just funding schools. You're making a statement that the children of Caswell County matter and that those who serve them every day matters as well. In the current budget proposal, I noticed there are increases to other agencies. If we fund our schools, it may be possible that we decrease the impact to our prison system. We decrease the impact of crime in the county by educating our students. Of our 274 full-time employees, I ask you to take a good look at the current needs. We cannot continue to kick the same can down the road and expect it to be different. There's a saying some say, if we do what we've always done, we get what we've always gotten. I just want to challenge commissioners. I appreciate you having us the opportunity to come here tonight, but just remember, you have a great responsibility, and to whom much is given, much is required. Thank you for your time.
The next person is Amy Carter.
Amy Carter, school nurse at Oakwood Elementary. I am not a Caswell County resident. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to speak today. I'm here tonight to advocate for my colleagues and my students. Recently, we were informed that the Caswell County commissioners have given the same amount to our school board for the past few years. Between deteriorating buildings and increased living expenses, people are not staying in Caswell County to work. Most of the new talent that comes uses our system as a stepping stone for experience, then moves on to better paying districts. And then you have the experienced people that live the last few years before retirement for other districts because their retirement pay is based on their 5 highest paying years. Last fall, we had to fill a nursing position and only had 3 candidates apply. Why? Because when pay was discussed, they just couldn't afford to come to Caswell County schools. It was a $30,000 a year pay cut for them. In all honesty, unless you are married, living with someone that can share living expenses, or have a part-time job outside of the school system, a certified or classified employee for Caswell County schools cannot make it on the minimum state salary alone. The lead nurse is not here tonight because she is going to her second job. A county supplement must be implemented, and we cannot do this without your help. As for the buildings, I work at the second oldest school in the county at 57 years old. In the coldest months, there is a sign that says, "Welcome to the Arctic," outside of the 3rd and 4th grade hall, as the temperatures in the classrooms are in the 50s and 60s. The kids and the staff stay in their coats all day, and it's almost laughable now at the school-wide leaks when it rains. Last week, I watched as a literal waterfall poured in one of the classrooms, filling an 18-gallon Sterilite tote within 5 minutes. The custodians couldn't get to the leaks fast enough to address the water flowing down the walls and puddling on the floors. While our maintenance department is very skilled, they cannot permanently fix these problems. I've been with the district for 10 years. I see the behaviors the staff and principals have to deal with, and they are escalating each year. I'm not sure how they do what they do, but somehow they still come to work each day and give every child the love and attention they all deserve and need. At Oakwood, my daily medications have gone from about 5 a day to 18. I average about 35 to 40 student visits a day. The chronic conditions and mental health issues have at least doubled in number and severity. This year, we have a nurse in every school. Next year, without an increase in budget, a nursing position will be lost. What staff member is going to be taking care of these students when I'm splitting my time with Stony Creek as I was doing before COVID? Here are my numbers so far for the 24-25 school year from August to April. I had 3,235 students sent back to class, 124 students sent home, no 911 calls. 34 of my students are on medications at school, and I gave medications
And ma'am, I'm sorry, but the time is
1,767
up.
times,
Let-
and these are just my numbers. I hope that you will reconsider the amount you have appropriated in this budget for Caswell County Schools, and you will increase it. This must be done to maintain and attract top employees, improve educational infrastructure, and invest in the students who will be the future of this community if you intend for Caswell County to have a future at all.
I'd like to remind our speakers that we do have a 3-minute time limit. When your 3 minutes are up, you will be asked to stop and leave the podium, wait for the next person to speak.
Next person is Candace Detweiler. Did I say that right? All right.
Good evening. I'm Candace Detweiler, and I'm a Caswell County resident. I first would like to thank you commissioners for taking the time to serve our community. I stand before you this evening as a parent, a grandparent, and a taxpayer in Caswell County, and asking for more funding for our school system. Yes, I realize there is a limited amount of money and how it can be spent. However, I cannot think of a more essential investment for Caswell County. I also realize by asking for any increase from the school system, or towards the school system rather, that this could possibly lead to a tax increase. We did hear in the budget that there's already a 3% tax already in place that will be raised. Let it go to our children. Let it go to the biggest investment that we can make. Let it go to the staff. Let it go to families that are here in Caswell County. I am not only a parent and a grandparent and a taxpayer. I also am a business owner, and I pride myself in saying that I am a Caswell County business owner. And if we don't invest in our children, they will not be here to be those business owners. They will leave our county and they will go other places. This is where we have to step in and be the adults that we have to be, to ask you to stand in front of you and say, please, please give our schools more money. Our schools have been in a steady decline since I moved here in 2007, and it is simply disheartening. It is disheartening to see the power struggles that go on between the boards. It is disheartening as a parent to see the utter devastation that is in these schools when you walk into the schools and you see the faces. I have seen the morale in the schools. It is heartbreaking for these students to go here every day. It is imperative that we right this wrong tonight, gentlemen. It's imperative. We have to. Otherwise, what are we left with? What's the option? Our students' futures are very, very bright, but it's our job to make sure that their lights don't burn out too soon. Thank you for your time.
And the next person is Amy Howard.
Good evening. My name is Amy Howard, and I'm coming to you tonight as a Caswell County resident of 23 years. I'm a mother, PTO president, Caswell County rec soccer coach, an employee of a large local laboratory, a small business owner, and a concerned citizen. When my husband and I decided to have children, I wanted to send them to a private school or possibly a charter school. My husband disagreed. He wanted our children to go to school with the kids from our neighborhood and who they grew up around. Of the 20 plus or so children that my oldest grew up around, we are now the only family that is still in the Caswell County schools. My oldest will go into the PCC program in the fall, and for that we're very grateful. My youngest will start fourth grade and is an advanced student looking to do the same as her older sister. But we have a larger problem than we did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 3 years ago. It's stability and loyalty. In order to change the future and to change the makeup of our schools, Caswell County has to invest in the schools. You cannot just sit idly by and continue to do the same thing hoping for a new result. As Albert Einstein said, that is the definition of insanity. Our teachers deserve to be rewarded and to be supported for staying here and not looking at one of our surrounding counties for a better offering. You're not going to entice any new teachers to Caswell County with only what is offered today. Loyal teachers mean stability and a better learning environment for our students. The constant overturning of staff and administrators is something somewhat directly related to offerings that are right next door. As I've learned, we have 2 teachers at Dillard currently that are certified. 2. How does that support our children to be prepared for high school and beyond? We want to keep our children in Caswell County schools and stay loyal to the schools and the teachers that put in the hard work here in the county where we live. But I will not do it to the detriment of my child's education. How many more children from Caswell County are you willing to risk losing? How many more teachers are you willing to risk losing? That is what will continue to occur by not supporting the budget presented and beyond, and the need that we have here and now. We say we want a brighter future for Caswell County. Commissioners, I am telling you tonight, it starts with our schools. You have to decide that you want to invest in our future, that you want to support faithful Caswell County teachers, you want to entice educators that live in our county to make the change to teach here. Please show us that you want those teachers that are looking for a good home to choose Caswell County. Caswell County's future is with our schools and our children, and the ball is in your court. Thank you.
Next person is Emily Pruitt.
Good evening. My name is Emily Pruitt. I'm a resident of Caswell County. And I have worked at Caswell County Schools for 25 years in the role of a school counselor. I'm a parent and a community member. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I thank you for your service. I will be much briefer than the other folks, but I live in Pelham, and I'm coming to you today to ask for you to invest in our students as providing a local board supplement to all Caswell County employees to help attract and retain quality educators. We must stay competitive or we will lose staff to neighboring districts. Maintaining consistency in staffing improves staff morale, learning conditions, and increases student achievement. I ask you to also help to address critical facility needs in our schools to prevent further damage and disruption to learning. I am requesting you demonstrate your commitment to our county by investing in our children and our schools to ensure a brighter future for all of us. Thank you.
Next speaker is Angela Turner.
Good evening. My name is Angela Turner. I live in Leesburg. I am also the 4th grade teacher at South Elementary. This is my first year at South. I have a master's degree. I am a nationally board certified teacher, and this is my 25th year as a teacher. I have worked in Orange County schools and most recently in Durham Public Schools. When I left Durham Public Schools, I gave up approximately $1,200 a month. So I am asking for a supplement for the educators of Caswell County.
Next speaker is Terry Parker.
Good evening. I do want to come to you guys respectfully. I'm not a resident of Caswell County. I'm a resident of Orange County. So I drive a little ways, past a couple farm crossing signs to get here. And while I enjoy that drive every day, I want to say that I came with Miss Turner from Durham. We both left Durham together, and thankfully she came to work with me. I'm the principal at South Elementary, and this is my first year. And I'm going to paint a little bit different picture. I am fortunate to have a front row seat of the incredible growth students can make when you put teachers like that in a building. She is the Caswell County Schools Teacher of the Year, by the way. So I'm really proud to have her there. From South, I think proximity really hurts us. We can go, any high quality teacher like Miss Turner can travel just a few miles in any direction and make more money. And I want to put some numbers with that tonight for you guys. So if we look to our south, to Alamance, Burlington, and Orange County, a first-year teacher could drive over the border and make $472 additional a month in Alamance County and $492 additional dollars in Orange County. If they went to the east to Person, they'd make additional $410 a month. And if they went to the west to Rockingham, they'd make an additional $225 a month. I'll just let that sit for a minute. That may not seem like a lot, but it is. It is. And it makes a difference. And I've heard our educators who have been in Caswell County and stuck it out with Caswell County stand up here tonight and say, we're losing our best educators. We're losing the brightest of the bright who could be these phenomenal Angela Turners to other counties that they don't live in, that they're not loyal to for money. We can do better. I ask that you support the Caswell County Schools budget request. Thank you.
And the next speaker, I think it's Ava Arts. Is that right? Okay. Sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Avery Artis. I am a resident of Guilford County. I bring 20 years of educational experience to Caswell County. I am currently the principal at North Elementary. I am here to emphasize the urgent need for sustained long-term investment in our local schools. This request extends beyond the critical issue of teacher supplements, though those remain vital, and speaks to a broader shared responsibility to ensure that every student has the opportunity to thrive. Our students deserve more than just the basics. They need safe, secure campuses, modern, well-maintained facilities, and equitable access to tools and resources necessary to compete with peers across other districts. This includes new and/or updated gyms and playgrounds, functional infrastructure, and supporting learning environments that foster both academic success and student well-being. Without adequate funding, we face very real possibility of losing essential personnel, dedicated individuals who play a crucial role in ensuring our schools continue to move in a positive direction. These staff members are the backbone of our progress, and their absence would significantly hinder our ability to maintain and build on the momentum we've already worked so hard to achieve. We are deeply committed to delivering high-quality education, but doing so requires a stable and forward-looking funding foundation. This allows us to plan strategically, maintain what we have, and grow responsibly. I welcome any opportunities to create a lasting positive impact on our school and community's future. So I would ask you to consider supporting our superintendent's budget proposal. Thank you.
Next speaker is Hillary Moore. Okay. So what about Jonathan Barnes? Okay. Okay, now we're going to jump back to those of you who wanted to speak about the schools or the budget, who are on the regular comment sheet. So let me go down through the list and then we'll see if the board is open to that. So Terry Parker, oh, you've already spoken, never mind. Courtney Smith.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Smith. I'm a Caswell resident, teacher for Caswell County Schools, but also a parent of 2 children who attend North Elementary. I'm here tonight not to ask, but to insist that this board take action to fund gymnasiums for our elementary schools. Right now, across this county, children are being taught PE in parking lots, breezeways, multi-purpose rooms. When it rains or when it's cold, they sit. On windy days, they dodge debris. This isn't just inconvenient, it's a failure to meet basic educational needs. In many schools, it's not just one PE teacher trying to make it work, it's 2 or more scheduled at the same time, sharing the same poor conditions with dozens of students. And yet PE teachers are still expected to meet state standards, foster teamwork, promote health, and protect safety, all without a gymnasium. Our children are confined to desks for hours each day. Physical education is their chance to unwind, to move, to breathe. It's often one time of a day that a child with ADHD can truly focus afterward. It's when anxious students reset and build confidence. For some, their greatest successes won't come from a worksheet. It will come out on court, in a game, or on a team. Physical education supports the whole child. We talk about this goal constantly, and if we mean it, that our facilities need to reflect it. A gym isn't a luxury. It's a commitment to the emotional, physical, and mental health of every student in this county. Let me be clear, I'm not asking you to choose between gymnasiums and teacher pay. Our teachers deserve competitive salaries, and our students deserve safe, functional spaces to learn. Both must happen. This is about thoughtful planning and proper prioritizing. Gym funding should come through capital budgets, grants, and long-term investment, not by shortchanging educators. The longer we delay, the more children are left behind, and the more costly it becomes to catch up. It's time to stop talking about equity, health, and whole child development and start funding it, not next year, but now.
Next speaker is H. Broadnax. I didn't left. Okay. And please give me your name when you get to the podium there.
My name is Brittany Ash. I am a resident. I am also a teacher and a mother of students who attend Caswell County Schools. And Holly is also a mother of children who attend Caswell County Schools, and she was speaking on behalf of teachers as well as myself, because I did not want to come to the podium and speak, just because I don't like speaking in front of people. But as a parent and an employee, I am proposing that you guys take a look at the budget as well. Our children do deserve people like us to stay in the county. We are here with our hearts. We're not here with money in mind. But at the end of the day, we have families that we need to take care of. We have families that we have to support. We are people who don't get additional supplements from the county as far as like SNAP benefits and things of that nature that we have to come out of our pockets and feed our families and pay our bills. And so it becomes hard for us to do those things. And then we have to go into our schools and do our regular jobs, sometimes with the stress of knowing that the economy has gotten really bad, that we can't do some of those things. We lack in some of those areas because of our financial needs. At the end of every year, you hear teachers have this talk of, well, so-and-so county is looking for this teacher and so-and-so county is looking for that. And then we could easily go X, Y, and Z. Well, some of us choose to stay here because this is what we love and this is what we want to do. We don't make it a choice because it's what we want to do. While other people have choices and they have support and they can choose to just get up and go to other counties because they do pay more, we choose to stay here. We choose to be a part of Castle County Schools. So I'm proposing that you guys take a look at the budget and give us some support. Thank you.
And is there anyone else that I've missed that signed up? And your name? Mariah Smith, you're next then.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Mariah Smith, and I am a resident of Castle County. I've had the privilege of serving as a teacher in this county since 2014. I'm here not just for myself, but on behalf of the many dedicated educators who love this community and who want to stay, but we are finding it harder and harder to do so. We are at a crossroads. Our schools are losing talented teachers at an alarming rate. Some to neighboring counties offering better pay, others to burnout or second jobs just to make ends meet. At the same time, more and more families are choosing to homeschool. In fact, 18% of Caswell County kids are now being homeschooled. And there's 300 more students who are no longer in our county, who have moved on to other counties, my child being one of them. We need your help. A local teacher supplement would make a real difference, not just financially, but symbolically. It would send a clear message to the educators in this community. You matter. We want you here. We're investing in you because you're worth it. We're not asking for extravagance. We're asking for support. Support that helps us retain great teachers and attract new ones who want to call this place home. And let's not forget, strong public schools benefit everyone. They boost local economies, raise poverty values, reduce crime, and build a more connected, resilient community. When we support our schools, we strengthen our entire county. But this isn't just about pay. It's also about safety, dignity, and the basic functionality of our schools. Our building, North Elementary, is in serious disrepair. Without immediate investment, we are struggling to provide a safe, healthy, and effective environment for students and staff. The roof leaks, the gutters and downspouts are clogged, causing overflow and structural damage. We have ongoing pest issues, mice, spiders that are this big. And last summer, we even had snakes. Our doors don't seal properly. There's cracks under them about that big, which only makes the problem worse. Inside, the concerns continue. The carpet in the library is from when the building was built, and it's unraveling, causing students to trip and fall. We've lost computers to it, and that's a completely preventable safety hazard. In the kitchen, we're down to one single functioning oven from 1992. If that fails, we cannot prepare meals. Our coolers are in poor condition and contain visible mold, posing serious health risk. We're also facing critical staffing shortages. If we're serious about improving academic performance to test scores, we need more personnel. Our current staff is stretched too thin. I serve as the librarian, but I'm also the school's testing coordinator, a role I was given. I did not choose it because we didn't replace our instructional coaches. This added responsibility, with no raise, with no help, with no additional support, and a loss of instructional time to my students. The exact same thing happened to our counselor.
And time is up.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak during specifically for the budget public hearing? All right, let's start with him. And please state your name, sir.
Ian Woodskill.
Could you say that again?
Ian Woodskill.
Okay, you're ready.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am a resident of Caswell County. I'm also a teacher at Bartley Yancey Senior High School. And I just wanted to mirror some of the thoughts of my peers, and that investing into the school system and into the students of this county is not just prudent, but required. And twofold, if we're going to be investing in the education system within this county and the students within it, I believe it's equally as prudent, and I'm happy to see in some of the budget notes and proposals to be investing within the future of businesses and economic feasibility within the county. I believe truly, as someone who did not grow up here, that we have a very, very strong student base within the county. We have some of the most hardworking young individuals I've ever met within the school system, and equipping them with the right opportunities while they're in the school system, as well as once they leave, I think is just the best course of action to ensure a sustainable economic base for the county moving forward. And in investing both twofold in the way that we have more equipped individuals graduating from our school system and more solid and secure opportunities for them once they leave, we may be more likely to keep those individuals that we're investing in within the county. So I'm happy to see that already within some of the proposals with the budget, and alongside mirroring the increases in funding for the school system. I think that could be a very potent and pleasant way to progress the county forward. Thank you for your time.
And Mr. Chair, we have, I think, more people wanting to speak than signed up. I think at the board's pleasure, you can decide if you want to hear further speakers.
I think we'll allow two more.
And one or both of you asked, would you like to speak? That's okay. Okay.
Good evening to the commissioners. Thank you for all your hard work you do for our county. Thank you for this lady over here that's worked so hard to get the budget together. My name's Nicole Smith. I'm a resident of Caswell County. My son has attended school here for the last 12 years. I'm also a member of the Board of Education, and I just wanted to address a couple of questions that were brought up. It's my understanding that the commissioners pretty much own the schools. It was brought up what our fund balance was. You would have to get with our finance director individually, but it's my understanding that our fund balance is under $1 million. Probably by the end of this school year, around $670-some thousand is all that we will have left in our fund balance. Over this past year, we've had to buy an activity bus. I think it cost about $110,000. We probably need to purchase 2 more activity buses. We've had the buses break down multiple times trying to carry our kids to activities, to ball games, and so on. I know this year we had to purchase boilers for one of the schools. It may have been 2 of the schools, but I think that purchase was about $200 and some thousand. We have had to purchase multiple equipment for the kitchen. The list goes on and on for this past year, what we've had to spend out of fund balance to keep our schools going. So I just wanted to make you aware, if you weren't aware, of the situation that we're in currently. Thank you. I also wanted to make one more statement. Interim Stokes and our finance director did submit our budget certified mail on May 2nd to the Caswell County Commissioners. That's it.
And I think we have one more speaker.
My name is Mel Ballard. I'm a resident of Caswell County for the last 58 years, and I know what you're going through. I was up there for 8 years, so I did 8 budgets. There's not always enough money to go around, but as this previous speaker spoke, the schools do belong to you. We just occupy them. We don't have what I call a wish list. We have a needs list. Capital outlays needs happen every year. North and South schools are 32 years old. Oakwood is 57 years old. The biggest addition we have now, of course, is the high school. That was renovated a couple of years ago. But I implore you, in terms of your budget, give you an example. 6 years ago, we received the same amount of money from the county commissioners for 4 years in a row. This past 2 years, we received the same amount of money. A loaf of bread costs $1 this year. It's not going to cost $1 next year. We need funding just like everybody else does, and I hope you see it in your wisdom to do that, because I know you have a hard job. Last year, I was at this meeting. They said, we're not going to raise taxes. We're going to be revenue neutral. But the evaluation went up. An increase is an increase, however you call it. A 3% increase here, I think, is roughly a little less than $700,000. In other counties, it may be $1 million or millions of dollars. So I hope that you'll look hard at our budget. And I understand our interim superintendent will be talking with your county manager about our needs assessment for capital outlay. And I just hope that you will do the right thing. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate everyone's comments. The board will be having a budget work session next Wednesday, May the 28th, and we'll be digging into numbers, both school-related and countywide budget. Do I have a motion? We go back into regular session.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we now sit back in regular session. Next, we have Mr. Jeff Brooks from NCDIT to give us a broadband update.
Hey. This is good, really. This is good.
We'll stay to hear you.
Wow. Well, with all that, I'll say good evening, commissioners. My name is Jeff Brooks. Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. Take down our phone batteries.
Fund balance or maybe it's just. Oh, well. Yeah, it's done. Those can be a lot. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Brooks, I think we can hear you now.
Well, thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeff Brooks, and I'm with the North Carolina Department of Information Technology, here to speak with you briefly about broadband. This is my third board meeting of today, and it's my 53rd presentation to a board. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I've been with the state about 3 years, I guess, and I have been to 92 counties, including Caswell a number of times, because I think that broadband is local, so it's important to make sure that citizens, residents, elected officials understand, have insight into what we're doing and input into next steps. So I'd like to say thank you to Tony, because he's been very gracious with his time in the past. Renee, thank you. Melissa, thank you. And I understand that our time is a little bit constricted, so I have restricted my normal presentation from the normal 400 and something slides down to, I think, much fewer than that. And the other thing is, I hate it when people read slides to me. So I don't read slides. So when you see, and if you have and you're looking at it, you can actually see the detail. If you have questions during this time together or after the fact, just let me know. My personal cell phone number is at the end, as is my email address. Happy to take questions. I tell you to thank you. Okay, since I don't have anything, I'll look over here. Yep, that's the agenda. Next one, please. So this slide is simply designed to show the changes in broadband from a throughput perspective or a speed perspective since 1996. Now, obviously, data communications were a thing long before 1996. But really, when you think about people beginning to use modems and access networks, 1996 becomes that time at which we can point back to and say, oh, there was a definitive speed standard. So while you can't read the text if you're out here, and I certainly can't read it from here, but you see that the bar goes up because speeds have increased exponentially. From a real world perspective, back in the year 2000, I used QuickBooks Online. Used to be a CPA, and I would do work for clients. And whenever the screen came up, it would be very simple, almost like typewriter print on the screen, nothing fancy. When you use QuickBooks Online today, things are moving around, things are being calculated. It takes a lot of this speed and throughput to make things happen on the internet today, whether it's these advanced applications, whether it's video, whether it's audio, whatever it may be. This slide simply indicates the change in those standards. Next slide, please. Now, there are two parts to broadband. There's the infrastructure availability, and there's adoption. And I'm not going to talk about adoption tonight. We have a whole office that focuses on helping people be able to utilize broadband, be able to have access to devices, know how to take advantage of it to benefit their lives. Instead, these two components talk about the money and locations. As late as probably 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, the availability of money to fund broadband construction was based on a census block. If a single address in that census block had access to broadband, everybody had access to broadband. We know that's just not true. So over the past few years, that's been changing. Our GIS team works with the FCC. They trade information back and forth. We now focus on individual addresses, and the categorization is whether a location has access to the current standard of service or not. They're served or unserved. Next slide, please. So part of this is economic. And what you have on this is on the right-hand side, there's kind of a rough model of what it costs to build broadband. We subsidize the initial construction. Either we or the federal government, in many cases, the county also pitches money, puts money in. It will cost in Caswell County between $40,000 to $80,000 a mile to build broadband service. Under current subsidies, you will have funding to an eligible location. The state or the federal government will generally account for 70 to 75% of that cost. The remainder is covered by the service provider. We do not subsidize maintenance. These assets last for about 22 and a half years. They're going to be replaced twice at a minimum over their useful life. So consequently, you look at a service provider and people will say, well, why didn't they want to serve me? Because you were over here and you're paying $60 a month and it costs them $5,000, $8,000 a year to make sure they can keep your service up and going. Now, with changes in subsidy rates, those economics are changing a little bit so that we can get to more people and ideally increase take rates, which begins to spread out some of those costs, make it easier for providers to say, you know what, I see where there's a return on my investment. Next slide, please. So this slide shows Caswell County. This actually is online and there's a lot of information on it. So I will, if a link isn't in the spreadsheet, I will definitely send a link so you can access this. There's other information we'll look at in more detail as well. This slide, however, in the download for this shows key statistics about broadband availability and adoption in the county. Covers a wide amount of information. Next slide, please. What's interesting to me is to look at how the federal government sees broadband in the county. When you look at this slide, it's like, wow, everybody in Caswell County has access to broadband. That's great. Let's go home. The work is done. It's funny because part of what my team does, we take about 80 inquiries a month from citizens across North Carolina who are saying, we don't have any broadband. What are you going to do about it? Well, funny thing is that you don't see those citizens right there on that chart. Now, I will say, talk about my little team, about 1 out of 4 times, we can actually get a citizen added into a project or included in a network. 3 out of 4 times, we call the citizens back and we say, let me tell you why you don't have it now. You're in a project, you're not in one, but here's what's going to happen. We will make those calls back. If your citizen calls us, we will call them back within 24 to 48 hours, guaranteed. She has consistently gotten those emails. You used to get those emails and you will get those emails. Be ready because here they come. Don't put me in your spam folder. Because one of the things we say to a citizen is, we love talking to you today. We appreciate the chance to share with you. And I want you to know we've been working with your county manager and your elected leadership in Caswell County to expand broadband in the county because broadband is local. You sit here, you hear the concerns of the population, of everyone that are your neighbors in this county. We want to make sure that they know that you're working with us. You're not just sitting by. Now, there are 2 counties where that's not true. I won't say which ones. It's not Caswell, but there are 2 counties where they don't care. Okay. So this is the FCC map today, but if you would do that slide, please. The problem with the FCC map is that they count everything. So they count satellite, they count fixed wireless, they count cellular, they count dial-up, they count a whole, but probably 10 cans in a string to say everybody has service. That's just not so. If you'll go to the next slide, please. When you look at just cable and fiber, now the picture begins to change in the county. And as you see the lighter colored hexagons on this map, that shows where there are still areas of need in the county. Next slide, please. Shifting from the federal map to our maps, which are infinitely more detailed, you'll see on the left-hand side, there's kind of a picture of the county. And on the right-hand side, I kind of zoomed in to show you a detail. Again, we break these geographies down into hex bins, but which is a little 6-sided figure that you see, the more pink a hex bin is, the more homes there are in that location, whether it's a 1/4 of a mile, 1/2 a mile across, or whatever. The bluer it is, the higher the percentage of unserved locations in that hex bin. When it turns purple, we've got a lot of work to do. Most of our maps also have a legend associated with them in terms of service. So if you go to one of our maps, you see a red dot, they're eligible to be funded. Green dot, blue dot means there's either a state or a federal program that is funding broadband infrastructure construction. Very briefly, I'll make a quick note there because just bounce around and think about things. If it is a state program, our programs require build out in 24 months. So we monitor it for 24 months. Then we monitor it for an additional 36 months to make sure that the service provider is doing what they said they were going to do. We can claw back funds at any time. Federal programs will take between 4 years to 6 years to complete. The federal RDOF program is a 6-year program, for example, will not be finished until 2027. There are citizens in this county that are going to be built out via RDOF, but just to give you an idea, and there's a little timeline further on in these slides. Next slide, please. Now, this is an example. I have to get it. I'm sorry, I have to make sure I read it. So this is Charter, and you know they do business as Spectrum. On the left-hand side, it shows the coverage that they're reporting to us in terms of what they offer via coaxial or cable type data services within the county. The right-hand side shows what they're offering in terms of fiber services within the county. Next slide, please. This shows Comcast, or I think Xfinity is the name that they go by, which obviously is in the northern, northwestern part of the county. We certainly have had some conversations with Comcast. When I first came to the state, I went up and met with some folks in some different offices, begged them to participate in our broadband programs. They didn't in Great Grant. They did not in CAB 1.0. They did in CAB 2.0, probably some of the most expensive bids I've ever seen. So I've got to say, we probably didn't award them anything, but we tried. We really tried. I'm working with them now. There are a couple citizens in the northwest part of the county where Comcast facilities are within probably 1,000 feet of 3 homes and a business. I'm probably going to be going back up to Roanoke to meet with them and say, look, can we just do a little something there because it just makes sense. Next slide, please. So this is a dashboard. Again, it's available on our website. You select Caswell County. This shows projects that are currently underway in the county, and it shows the status. That's what I came out and take one-on-one and talk about. It was not a sport application. It's what the legislature turned to be best out. We ranked providers, whether it was CAB 1.0, where the county sat at the table, or CAB 2.0, where we taught the counties that we did what was determined. What's your financial capability, financial solvency, stability, operational capability, customer support, technical competence in terms of what you're doing, bottom up, and the debt's cost. We drilled a lot of these folks in terms of what they're bringing to the table. But our grants were up to twice as much as great grants. So it's very important that we move to the top. Next slide, please. The next program, we have 2 more programs coming. The next one is Stopgap. It's one of the 3 programs that I was developed. The Stopgap is designed to go to locations or publicize locations that are just outside of some grant projects, whether it's a great grant or a CAD grant. So if we're funding this location and I'm over here, we'd like that one big conservatively. And so that's what the Stopgap program is doing. So as you see here, we've identified 266 locations within the county that we're hoping, pushing for these service providers to bid on in the county. Now, sometimes providers will say, wait a minute, we've got so much going on. Literally, I've been on the sales contact about sold for many years. Look, this is why you want to come to Caswell County. And we'll step through the reasons why. We'll talk about the distance, we'll talk about return on investment. If I do my job right, and maybe we get folks bid on these locations. I'll also have to call you because I want you to put yourselves down too. Next slide, please. There's a boatload of money that's coming late summer, early fall, called BEAD programs. That's for broadband equity, access, and employment environmental correct. BEAD was one thing for the new administration plan. It's going to be a little bit different now because they're going to make changes to it. If you look on this chart, I'll highlight the fact that North Carolina is the next to last state that has BEAD program approved by the Department of Commerce. There's a reason for that. All of the work we had to do, it was approved. However, we tested the count of addresses, eligible addresses in the state. We were awarded a little less than $1 billion. Our GIS folks have actually quite long. At change, we've been awarded $1.57 billion. So in this scenario, it's like, wait a minute, why are you sitting on money? We're not. The issue is that our General Assembly gave us, whatever the word is, allocated $971 million for broadband expansion in North Carolina. $375 to $80 million for Great Grant, $40 million for CAB, $86.5 million for Stopgap. We do not work with me until we get all that money out the door. So Stopgap comes next. Probably be online in late May, June, probably be 2 months to get it out the door. In the meantime, there are states that have already launched their BEAD programs. They're having to claw back those awards. policy and regulations have changed. So people that thought they had it more, they don't have it anymore. The progress for this broadband in the states, when these wars stop dead. We're not in that situation. We're just waiting to get up the rest of our money out to do this summer, so we can begin our meeting work this fall. Next slide, please. This is a rough timeline that shows you that the past number of years, how these programs are playing out. Charter or Spectrum is the largest winner of RDOF awards across the country. So obviously they've got a significant amount of credit on it in terms of allocating human resources, contractors, materials acquisition, build out all of these locations. In a couple of states, Charter did hold some of their awards. We meet with Charter regularly. We review their progress reports, even though we're not a part of that process. So they are on track to meet their federal mandates, federal deadlines by the time the program closes. One thing about the RDOF program, they have to build it in 6 years, they get paid out. So it really is an incentive for them to stay in the game, wrap up their work. The grade program should wrap up in terms of construction probably by the end of this year. CAD will wrap up by the end of 2026, maybe first quarter of 2027. So again, when you talk to your residents and you talk to them, we'll look at the address and say, look, you're in CAD 2.0, you'll have broadband by this day. Now, I would rather they had it today or tomorrow. It's not right. The process of building broadband, 2 years is probably reasonable for a large project. And we counsel people when they call. You won't see anybody on the ground until 6 months from the deadline. Also, the board has to go in advance, prepared for the broadband. Next slide, please. And that's it. So unless I did do that, that's all story. Unless in fact, but I'm happy to take any questions. If I don't know the answer,
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming out tonight and what you've done for Caswell County. I feel like we're very fortunate for counties of our size to have the broadband exposure that we have now. And we're looking forward to seeing the next projects come down the line. I think we've had 5 or 6 different contracts now. And I know it, like you said, it takes a while to actually see any progress. They say, you know, where's it at? It was coming. But my question to you is, do you have an estimate as to how many of the 8,500 households or so, how many homes are being covered under current contracts with broadband? I feel like it's really a good number of the percentage. That's what I thought. Okay. I have one other question. Will additional county funding be required for the stopgap and the BEAD programs? Was that going to be? Okay.
I remember the conversation with she told me, here you've been talking to counties, in counties in New York, we were the big 60 counties. She said, you do know that this is a state project, not a county project. Now, thought about it. So when I came here, been here for 2 days, 3 years, here works with the government. When I came here, the very first thing I wanted to do was hit the road and go see counties. That was one of the first things I came to, very problem. And broadband is here. So no less of the issues, and I say this, look at what you guys do. You think about tonight, you're doing water, sewer, you're trying to work on education issues, state property. Those are big things. If I do my job right, and you look at folks that do things, that get dotted lines as Jeff and RT and DIT, to support you on broadband. That's broadband is slow, and it should be. How can I help you? I don't care here, red, white, pink, green, black, blue, you know, which sport, doesn't matter. I should be here to serve. That's my statement.
Where you are a professional or a professional in the state of North Carolina is very fortunate to have you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. All right, next up, Child Fatality Prevention Team, Emily Hodges and Danielle Elmore.
They've been very patient.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present our annual child fatality report to the commissioners and community tonight. My name is Danielle Elmore. I do many things at the health department, but tonight I am here as the child fatality review chairperson, and coordinator is Emily Hodges. In 1993, the North Carolina General Assembly established a network of local child fatality prevention teams across the state to conduct confidential reviews. We will review medical examiner reports, death certificates of any deceased residents under the age of 18 for Caswell County. Each local team consists of representatives of the public and non-public agencies in the community, such as, but not limited to, law enforcement, the guardian ad litem, health departments, among others that provide services to children and their families. The purpose of this report tonight is to give you a summary of the cause of death, the number of cases that we reviewed recommending for prevention, if any, that have been made, and to share with local team activities and our accomplishments. The role as the commissioners is to receive the annual reports each year with our recommendations and advocate for system improvements and needed resources if we request them. The other role for the commissioners is to appoint members to the local team as identified by the membership. This past year in 2024, the Caswell County Child Fatality Prevention Team reviewed 1 child death, and we identified 0 system problems and recommendations. The death could not have been prevented. We would like to take the opportunity to share some of our activities and accomplishments that we did last year. We presented our annual report. We presented it to the Board of Health and to the commissioners. We submitted the report to the state in a timely manner before it was due. We also submitted our individual reports after each meeting. So we meet 4 times a year. And after we meet as the committee, our review coordinator submits the report to the state. We have purchased the following items using child fatality funds: 24 smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors, 2 pack and plays, 5 car seats that could be from the toddler and converted to the child when they become a little older, because by state law, they're required to be in car seats up to a certain age or weight. We also purchased helmets, knee pads, elbow pads, and wrist guards for bike safety. We also have gun locks that we have at the health department for any parent that owns a gun that doesn't have a cabinet to lock it in. So they can stop by the health department and pick up gun locks. When we do events out in the community, we take these items with us. But if there is a need in the community for any of the items that we have purchased, they can contact Emily Hodges at the health department and we can get those items to them.
Thank you, ladies. Any questions? Thank you. All right, moving on to action items. Mr. Whitaker.
So the CoSquare event policy and fees was presented at the previous work session on the 5th. This whole policy and fee schedule was born of desire to add some revenue and in terms and really maximize the use of CoSquare, and it's designed to work after normal business hours. So what you have in your packet are, of course, the proposed uses and those uses that would not be allowed. And I won't read those. You've had time to digest that. And then the other attachment, aside from the policy itself, is the pricing policy. And the one kind of caveat that I would like to request, if you are in favor of this policy and fee schedule, would be, excuse me, would be that we wait to get the security cameras installed, and we do have a quote for that and have been fine tuning that as it was more expensive than we had wanted. And there are funds available for that. As far as the fiscal impact of this, the current budget proposed does include $10,000 in fees. And again, the camera funding is available in the current budget. So I'd be glad to answer any questions about that.
Questions? Anyone? And I know we had a speaker that brought it up tonight. Not allowing political rallies or events. Got reasoning behind that, Russell? I see you raising your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I did want to bring that to the board's attention where it states that the political rallies or events endorsing specific candidates or parties are prohibited. I would like to give this a little further research to fine tune the constitutional implications of this provision before the board takes action on this.
All right. If the board doesn't object, let's hold off till one of our June meetings to finalize and approve this policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Whitaker, the Castle County Tourism Development Authority Agreement.
So what you have in your packet is the TDA agreement. It does provide the county a mechanism for the county to charge a 3% administrative fee, and that is estimated to be $2,700. That's in the proposed budget. And this is really all about, in terms of the relation to Caswell County, it's just to, give me just a second to find it. It really just memorializes the arrangement between the county and the TDA.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Health Department roof contract.
So for this, what you have are three, a bid sheet showing three bids. Custom coatings is the lowest, and the scope of work is provided in the contract. And we'll note that that amount now is $37,000 instead of what you see on the bid sheet. The contractor had revised that amount, and because this is more than $25,000, it's before you for approval or consideration.
And this money was already in the budget. as a $50,000 line item, and the cost is going to actually be 37, correct?
Right, I'm not,
Right.
and I was taking that for that 50,000 from RD. It may have been closer to 52, but
Okay.
thereabouts.
But it's under what we budgeted.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
custom coatings is clearly low on this project, but one red flag, RD, you might want to look at. I don't know if we've got any wet insulation or not, but they are a lot higher on wet insulation replacement than others.
We've already had a
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Do you have a motion to approve the contract?
Motion approved.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second Commissioner Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, Mr. Whitaker, the financial performance indicators of concern. And I believe this relates to the last audit results.
Yes, so when auditors identify financial performance indicators of concern, as part of their findings, the local government must provide a response to the LGC. And Jonna Sharp has prepared the attached response that's in your packet. That must be reviewed and actually signed by the full board. And so that is before you for consideration.
All right, gentlemen, this is supposed to be our response to the findings of the 23 audit, I think is right. Hope you've had a chance to look over them. You have any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I do see we're working on a lot of different things right now based on the responses. My question is, do we currently have enough manpower to do everything we said we're going to do?
Let you take that.
We have a lot of vacant positions. So I think once the vacancies, particularly in finance, get filled, we'll have the ability to do a better job of meeting this. Can I say with certainty that we have the manpower? I can't. We are working on multiple fronts with very limited staff.
Understood.
Any other questions? Excuse me. But I think this is a requirement that we have to reply and respond to the findings to the LGC. Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Rose. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Smith. Any more discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Senior Services Veterans Grant Budget Amendment, item 15.
So at the time of the packet, I had a good idea of what this was. I didn't have the exact amount. I told you I would hand out information for the budget amendment. So this is a grant that has a deadline of July the 30th. And so that amount of $18,280.97 is what's available. That's by the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. And Senior Services has a plan for that. But in order to accomplish it and to accomplish it in the deadline, we need the budget amendment. And that is what is before you this evening. And no local match is required for that.
Any questions?
Mr. Manager.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It says on here the funds must be used by the 31st of July.
That has to do, instead of with the budget cycle, it has to do with, from my understanding, the that's a deadline within the grant itself.
Okay. But they do have a plan for that in place.
They do, and it's kind of short time frame for them to accomplish it, but they've got a plan in motion for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? They have to have this money spent by July 31st, correct?
Correct.
Okay. No local match. Do I have a motion to approve budget amendment?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Rose made a motion. Ingram second. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, the HVAC unit at Guilford Mills.
So our staff at Guilford Mills have a pretty desperate need for some AC. And what you have before you is a contract with Barber Heating and Air. And specifically, it's $20,658.59. And while this item is within my approval range, because it wasn't budgeted, I thought you would need to make that decision, or I prefer that you would anyway. And so I'm bringing that before you, and this is going to be similar to the next item with the HVAC unit at the ag building location. And what you have are the three bids showing Barber as the lowest, and then a contract, and our attorney has reviewed that and prepared that contract.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I noticed looking at the various bids, comparing apples to apples, that the other contractors quoted 13.5 SEER. Is that also what Barbara's providing? I don't think it's stated in his quote.
All three companies are quoting Daikin units. The only reason why Barber come in cheaper is I told them they could bring the crane. It's 1 day instead of doing the crane, 2 days on both buildings.
But it is 13.4 SEER like the others. Right. Thank you.
Same warranty and everything.
Any other questions? I do have one. Since this exceeds, is it $10,000 that we needed at the previous meeting, or
Yes.
we have to suspend the rules and approve?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. So this was not in the budget, correct, Mr. County Manager?
This actually, you said funds are available, right?
We're not asking to increase the budget.
We just move, more or less moving, the money's there.
Within maintenance, yes.
Okay, all right.
If that's
So
the
it's-
case, then, Mr. Chair,
It's not a budget amendment, so to speak.
Right.
That's what we typically think a budget amendment is. Okay,
in that case, the board would not need to table.
gotcha. I just wanted some clarification. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Totten. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now the AC unit at the ag building.
And this is a similar situation at the ag building. As RD said, contractor could use the crane the same crane and have some savings there to deliver that. The amount is $15,708.17. And again, this project funds are also available within the existing budget.
Any questions? Mr. Whitaker? Do I have a motion to approve?
Approve.
Motion from Commissioner Totten, second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Appointments and reappointments to county boards. And my question, do we have to do these individually, Mr. Johnston, or could we lump them together? I know we've done it both ways in the past.
Mr. Chair, if we have applications that meet the openings, then the board could make a blanket motion to approve all the applicants to all of the boards.
Right? You have Steve Eaton for the Farmer Lake Advisory Board, Jerry Sykes. Is it two openings, Farmer Lake Advisory Board? We have two,
Is it two openings?
it's two openings, or is it one opening for two people? Two people have applied.
My understanding from looking at the policy itself is that there isn't a maximum on that. It just has to have a minimum of 5.
Okay.
But I'm new to this policy. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I'm looking on here to see.
Looks like there are 9 plus 2 ex officio.
On the Farmer Lake Board.
Right.
I see Mr. Sykes is already on there. Well, Mr. Eaton's an alternate.
On that board, on the Farmer Lake Board, he is.
Mm-hmm. That's what he's showing.
I'll tell you what, let's go to number 20 first. Library Advisory Board, Cliff Matkins. Do I have a motion to approve, Mr. Matkins?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Castle County, is it Tourism Development Authority? Have I got that acronym right?
Yes.
Rebecca Page, do I have a motion to appoint Ms. Page?
So moved.
Motion from Rose,
Second.
second from Smith. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
PCC College Board of Trustees, Antonio Foster. A motion to appoint.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Ingram,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Now let's go back to the Farmer Lake Advisory Board. We need to make sure we're doing this one right. Or if there's any question, we can put it off to the first meeting in June.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
It says on here, policy 13 Citizen Advisory Board. What it says.
Says what now?
Says 13, if you go to that, the agenda item number 19.
Yeah.
It's got down there under attachments, policy 13 Citizen Advisory Board policy. I guess is that 13 citizens?
Yeah, well, bear with us.
So Mr. Sykes, membership expires June 30th. And so all of these appointments would be effective July 1. So that's a renewal.
Mr. Sykes wants to be reappointed. And what about Mr. Eaton?
He's an alternate.
He's an alternate. All right. Do I have a motion to approve these two gentlemen?
Make a
So
motion.
moved. So moved.
Mr. Totten made the motion. Have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Sorry for the confusion, folks. County manager updates.
So just a few things, if there are any department heads and staff listening, I'm still trying to get out of the office more to get to each of the locations. That's been pretty challenging, but I promised to do that, and that'll get a little easier as we fill some positions that we're interviewing for. And also, HR is still in the process of insurance open renewal, and that's through May 23rd for health, dental, and vision. And so Williamson is your contact for that. A few changes I would like to tell you that I'm working on in reference to your board meetings. I would like to make some IT and presentation improvements. Those have more to do with citizens viewing of our meetings. For instance, we've had several presentations on these screens tonight and while you can see them probably better from your TV, citizens can't see some of the details. So working on an idea of projecting on that wall and making some improvements with that. Also, another change I'd like to see is some better video quality for those that are viewing remotely. And then we're going to be gradually making some website improvements, again, geared really toward the user. And that goes everything from everyone to staff to you and citizens. And then last thing I have, there will be a EMS supper tomorrow evening with a potential quorum of this board present, but this is a social event and no county business will be conducted. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Attorney updates, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the matter of Caswell County versus Amy Lynn Morrell in file number 24 CBD 379, filed at the Caswell County Clerk's Office. This is a delinquent tax foreclosure in which the last upset bid was filed on April 28th, and there have been no additional upset bids since then. The 10-day period for upset bids has expired, so this sale will now be finalized and the delinquent taxes will be paid to the Caswell County Tax Office, and any surplus of funds will be held by the Caswell County Clerk of Court's office for the delinquent taxpayer to pick up. And I'll have further updates for the board in closed session.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Commissioner updates, comments, Mr. Ingram? Mr. Rose?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to thank everybody that did come out tonight to speak. I know we're in the middle of budget or beginning budget. I know everybody's not going to get what they want. But there was a couple of things tonight that raised my attention. One being, I think the comment was made that we, the commissioners, own the buildings, responsible, whatever you want to say. I heard a lot of issues that were raised about the schools, their condition. First I've heard of some of this. I would like to see, Mr. Manager, if we can, I know we're going to start next week I'd like to see a list of what the problems are, what is wrong. Not saying that there is or isn't. But I don't want to run into an issue like our neighboring county did with some issues. Like I said, this is the first, I see the thing on the additional money for capital outlay, but I don't see everything of what it needs are. And then, I understand the need for more money. I think everybody does. We've lost 8 employees here also. I think sometimes it's the nature of the beast, but we kind of have to stay within our scope of what we can do and try to be the best stewards of taxpayer dollars that we can. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, I've got a couple of things. I would just like to restate that with a $36 million budget, to only increase our expenses $13,000 is quite a feat. So thank you. The other thing is I would like to know more about the school needs, and I would encourage the school board to maybe reach out to our county manager and maybe schedule some meetings with us. I have lots of questions, and I'm like Commissioner Rose. Some of the things I heard tonight are not structural problems, but they're maintenance problems with metal buildings such as north and south. Gutters fill up with leaves, water has to go somewhere. It backs back up in the building. So it's not to say it's the case with all the issues, but I'd like to know more.
Ms. Totten? Mr. Hope?
Yeah, I'm just curious of, last year during the budget, we were told that the school system was setting on this amount of money. I do not remember exactly what it was. But tonight, she said like 600,000. It's huge factor, and I would like to know what the truth is.
Mr. Manager, I think you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, and I will just say to that, I know they have had some payouts administratively and
We get with the interim superintendent and see if you can get some
would,
real numbers for us.
so I had asked when Renee and I had first met with the superintendent, we had asked specifically for their capital needs and to prioritize them. And I had passed that along to the board. Was that was that more simplistic than what you wanted? Because what they came back with was really a short paragraph related to, those capital needs with HVAC and roofing. And, it may be a situation where if you want a lot of detail and you want to see, some of these things in person, we might have to schedule some kind of field trip to see some of the worst of it as a group. Just an idea.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing that brought to my attention was the one teacher that said that the day it rained, they had a huge toad in there catching water. Well, has anybody been up on a building to see what's going on? Or you just catching the water? I don't know, but that's questions that I have. Because if you start with a small problem and you don't do something, it's going to get into a huge problem.
And I have relayed to the interim superintendent that your intent as a board is to really talk about this in more detail on the 28th. But between now and then, is there anything specifically other than some more detail on those roofing and HVAC needs? Is there anything else that I can do or information I can get from them to help you?
Well, I think he was sitting there tonight, so he should be able to, I mean, he heard everything that was said as far as the issues at North School, with just having one oven working. If that one oven breaks in the middle of feeding lunch, what are you gonna do? So some of this stuff already been looked at. Just a lot of questions I think were brought up tonight that first time we're hearing it. And I hadn't heard anything from maintenance. We get a good update from our maintenance department as far as the county buildings, what he goes around, what he sees needs to be fixed and stuff like that. But we just don't hear it with the school until sometimes it's gotten to the point that it's really bad.
So when I had requested that capital list and I forwarded that to you that had the two amounts that totaled 1.395, so roughly 1.4 million. And since then I've gone back and said, so what other priorities beyond this can you kind of extend that list just to give you a better view of what their capital needs are? So they are working on that list. I think they do have a lot more information compiled. It's just a matter of getting you the level of detail that you would like.
Yes, and I also would like to know an accurate number, like Commissioner Holt said, on the fund balance, their fund balance.
Right.
And I also would like to know if they have any ARPA funds left that were appropriated.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Announcements and upcoming events and meetings on the 28th from 8 to 5. We'll have a budget work session, and I believe it's at the library. Am I correct? Okay. June the 2nd from 1 to 5, budget work session. And that is the same day as a regular commissioners work session. Am I thinking about the dates right? First Monday? Yeah. Okay, the 16th of June, anticipated budget and ordinance adoption by the commissioners. Closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided under NCGS 143-318.11 subsection A3. Do I have a motion? We go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second Commissioner Rose. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, now sit in closed session.